Hey, what's your star sign? Is there any medical significance to the zodiac? Would you find it strange for a doctor to ask you for such a thing? What about magic, witchcraft, tarot? Well, put on your tinfoil hats as I'm joined by a fellow naturopathic student who takes special interest in some of these topics, Abby Turpine, and we're going to investigate if there's any validity or relevance to healthcare for some of these occult, alleged pseudosciences. We'll also be talking about alternative family structures and how they affect well-being, the ethics of pricing for healthcare, how much is too much for a doctor to charge, and much more in today's episode of Simply Naturopathic with your host, Harold Payne. Enjoy. Okay, so you're not a fan of the sand, it sounds like.
Yes,
Okay.
if we would consider this sand.
Abby, what if aliens abducted you? What would you do?
So if aliens abducted me, I would be scared. So it really depends what the aliens' intentions were and if I could read them. Like, could I understand their intention?
Okay. What would you like their intention to be?
If they wanted to just tell me secrets about the planet and the universe,
Okay.
I would be super down.
Okay.
If they wanted to take me somewhere, totally. If they wanted to experiment on my body, I don't know if I'm down for that.
Well, you're getting abducted, so whatever's happening is against your will at
Okay.
this point.
Yes.
So, do you have a plan prepared for alien abduction?
I have no plan. Do you have a plan?
I think you do have a plan. And actually, I think you've documented this plan on the internet. But we're going to get to that later.
What?
Yes, Abby.
How
yes.
did I document that on the internet?
Well,
It's evil to look up a trail of my internet usage.
why?
It could be something maybe I had a thought about and decided to make a video on a whim because I was bored, you know?
Yes, but it is an interesting look into what you think about when you're bored.
Absolutely.
It's interesting that you're thinking about alien abductions because what it tells me is that you're thinking about extraterrestrial things.
Okay, I can expand on this.
Okay?
So, my father and mother both have seen UFOs together twice in the
Okay.
same area, two separate occasions.
Okay.
In the mountains of Laguna, which is outside of San Diego,
Okay.
Mount Laguna. And I thought that was really interesting, and my father was very obsessed with aliens. So he would show me documentaries from a young age, and he would show me pictures on the internet of aliens. So I grew up always looking at the sky, trying to see if I could see any sort of UFO. I have seen UFOs.
That's a profound statement. You grew up looking at the sky. Well, I think that's like consistent with what I know about you, right? Because you tend to be someone who's like very astronomy minded. You might be thinking about things like tarot cards.
Not really tarot.
Not tarot?
Not so much.
Have you ever thought about magic?
Absolutely.
Okay. I thought so.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think about magic?
I think about magic every day.
Good.
I think I probably do magic every day.
In what ways do you do magic?
Well, I think magic is just simply like something there isn't an understood mechanism for. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, like 100 years ago, this is magic. You're getting sent to jail. CIA is coming after you. You're going to be questioned. People will report you. They're going to think you're doing magic.
Absolutely.
So there are things that I believe humans can naturally do that for some reason is kept in secrecy. And so that realm of things is called the occult.
Do you believe it's kept in secrecy by groups of people or by something greater?
I know it's kept in secrecy by groups of people. In every city in this country, there are thousands of witch covens. Now, they're secret organizations. Most people don't know this is going on, but there are people doing magic right now on the population.
Mm-hmm. And when you say on the population, what do you mean?
I think some of these people work for dark forces, and so they're like trying to maybe inject some negativity. Like, for example, I remember when Donald Trump first ran for president, there were a group of witches that were literally like trying to curse him, like openly.
It might have worked.
I don't think it worked, Abby. I think he's doing pretty fine. I would ask you. I'm not gonna. Let's not go to Donald Trump.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Unless you want to.
I don't think I want to.
Okay.
At least not right now.
All right. So you wanted to be a dancer. You know, you mentioned dancing.
You did your research.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you want to be a dancer?
So I grew up dancing, ballet, point, jazz, lyrical, tap, hip hop, musical theater, my whole life. From about 3 to maybe I stopped doing competition when I was 15.
So you have an inherent like musical sense.
Yes.
Very impressive.
Yes, I love it.
That makes a lot of sense. I notice people who in naturopathy who have, I'd say there are 2 types of people I've met in naturopathy. There's the type that are like really more science-minded, like a typical allopathic doctor, and then there are the other people who they're more aluminum foil. Not that aluminum foil people are not valid, right? But their mind is open to things like astronomy, tarot, magic, energy healing, Reiki, things like that. And they have to do the science. Like,
yes.
You see what I'm saying? It seems like you're like maybe more on the side of the latter, right?
Yes, yeah. I think for the most part, my brain naturally thinks very differently than someone who is standardly going to allopathic school.
Okay.
Yeah, but I am always very intrigued by the science, but more so specific realms. Like I had to force myself to study for a lot of the basic sciences. But for certain things, I'd be like, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that biochemical pathway is happening in the body. And then I was intrigued.
Okay. I see. So a dancer, and then you wanted to be a psychologist.
Before that, I also wanted to be an actress.
You also wanted to be an actress.
I think the dancer to actress line is very common.
Uh-huh.
You're on the stage, you're performing. I think acting is just another side of that.
This is good. I'm going to keep that in mind. Okay, so you wanted to be a dancer, then an actress, then a psychologist. Somebody said that you were a good writer at some point.
Yes, I know exactly where you're pulling this from. So the very first thing I ever wanted to be was a writer. And it was because of Mrs. Fox in 2nd grade. She had to reach out to my mother and tell her that she thought I had a gift for writing and that it should be encouraged. And I was oblivious. I had no clue that maybe I was possibly good at writing. I just did what I was supposed to do in school. And then my mom bought me a journal, and I started making poems and writing. So that's what I wanted to do first.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a left brain.
Yes. Wait, I thought it was the right brain for creativity.
I think one of the brains.
I think it's the right one.
The colorful brain. You have the colorful brain.
Yes.
Okay. So these are the type of people I tend to find myself around in naturopathy because I do have a similar background.
Are you right-brained?
Oh, most definitely right-brainer.
Are you forcing yourself into your left brain?
I don't think I'm forcing myself into it. I think it's pretty well developed, actually.
Good. That makes this program easier.
It does, actually. I've had recently, some incredible successes.
Good.
But I think the right brain path is probably what's most useful, because like in naturopathy, we're not looking at a person as just like a meat suit, right?
Absolutely.
You have to like kind of think about that they have emotions, psychology, and maybe even a soul, Abby.
Definitely a soul.
But we don't really know what a soul is. What do you think a soul is? And how do you think it's like related to someone's health?
Well, if you're asking me what I think a soul is, that's a very deep question.
Yeah.
Because then you're asking me what I am, what you are, what everyone around us is. I think at the end of everything, I am a soul before I am a body, before I am a human.
Why is that?
Because when I die, I have full faith that my soul will carry on. And it won't be in my human physical form, but in a spiritual way, maybe I'll choose to continue on in my physical form. Like I could look like myself, but I'm a soul at that point, and I'm not in physical matter anymore.
Like an astral body.
Maybe. I just mean when I die, maybe I'm gonna still want to look like myself, but I'm gonna be a soul at that point.
Okay, but then what is the soul? Like, what are you then if you're not meat suit Abby anymore?
That is a really deep question. And I think I'm of the creator.
Who's the creator?
Who do you think the creator is?
I think it's really crazy because I was just on Discord talking to one of my homies from Baltimore about this last night. Who is the creator? I think like built into the idea of a creator, because like the concept of God is it's beyond you.
Yes.
And like logic is limited, which is why God is so like paradoxical by nature. I don't think human logic is able to describe, like if you were able.
My words can't describe.
Right.
The construct of words, I feel like I cannot describe.
No.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, we're cooking right now.
Absolutely.
God, my mom always said if you ever saw God or could describe God, then that definitely wasn't God. And I think.
And your mother's a theologist.
Yeah, she is.
Mm-hmm.
I did tell you this at some point in time.
You did. So that's an interesting childhood.
Yeah. You know.
Which would put you on a search your whole life if your mother's a theologist.
In many, you know what? We're gonna touch on that in a second. We're gonna go a little bit deeper into maybe some of your reasons for joining naturopathy from that one resource I've been citing.
Yes.
But like, I think one thing, if you're gonna address someone's soul as a doctor, you kind of have to let go of a little bit of logic, which sounds counterintuitive.
Absolutely.
Like think about when you're meditating, right? Like when you're meditating and you reach a point where you're sort of in a flow, it's not like you can logically define what's going on. And I think that's a useful aspect of consciousness to be able to tune into, because then you can use intuition. And a lot of the spiritual healers from the past, like that one lady who's that one lady who she had like dreams of herbal concoctions? Do you remember her name?
Are you talking about our Nat Med class?
Yeah.
I don't remember her name, but I was like captivated by that, and I looked her up afterwards, and it's legitimate.
What did you find about her?
I just found that she would literally get dreams and visions about what to create for her patients and for people, which I don't think we can discredit.
No.
And in the allopathic world, that would be a big X. Like, absolutely not. We're going to revoke your medical license. Thank you for grabbing the aluminum foil.
For all the viewers, this is the sound of aluminum foil. This will be one of our sound effects throughout this podcast. But yeah, continue as you're saying.
Yeah, it can't be discredited fully.
Yeah.
We can't instantly trust it, but we can't discredit it. And I think it's up to us as physicians whether to use a vision or a dream like that. If it's safe enough, if it's not something crazy that will put the patient in harm, I think it's worth a shot to try it, especially if the patient is having a hard time healing.
I agree, and I have reason to believe that these abilities can be cultivated. I'll tell you what.
I agree.
Abby, I, on a regular basis, go to sleep and see the future. Has something like this ever happened to you?
Yes.
Okay, when was the most recent occasion of it?
The most recent occasion was a couple weeks ago. I had a dream that my roommate broke this little tea. It was a glass jar that you put tea into, and I had a dream that it shattered. That morning, I bring my own glass tea thing, to school, and I drop mine and it shatters.
Who is this friend to you? Like, what does she mean to you?
We don't need to discuss this right now.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
It was definitely a symbolic dream, I'll just say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
But before that, I also had a dream that my cousin, that her father, who is estranged from their life, was saying, "Jordy, Jordy," trying to get her attention, and she was like not paying attention. And then she comes and visits me during MLK weekend, and she says, "Oh my gosh, yeah, during Christmas my dad came over," and I just hid in my room, and he was like, "Jordy, Jordy, you don't want to come out and say hi?" And my jaw just dropped because I had a dream about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like.
And I've had a few more.
Okay. I'm convinced that we're not the only people that experience this. And
it gets stronger. The more that you open yourself to it, the more it happens.
Oh yeah, you know what's crazy, Abby? I've been doing my off-site shadowing with a lady, Dr. Michaela Werner. And so she does this thing where if a person has a certain illness that is maybe like trauma related, it's like a meditation technique for about an hour and a half where we're just sort of sitting there meditating, like a guided meditation through the emotions involved with the trauma, the memory of it. Mm-hmm. So I guess I should describe it a little bit more in detail. So basically, and I actually did one with her yesterday. So basically, when it starts, you call your higher self, right? And you start asking it a series of questions related to the incident. And then there's a visualization aspect where you try to visualize your body and where the trauma is. And what's interesting about that is when you see the trauma, you might see maybe a negative image or a positive one in your body. But if there's a negative one, which I did have to some extent, you can't always just make yourself get rid of the image, which is interesting. Because you think you can just control your imagination, but you kind of can't.
That's why it's imagination. Because you can't control it. Like, imagining is going against control.
Interesting. Do you think there's a benefit to not being able to control things?
Absolutely.
That would sound counterintuitive though, because like as a doctor, like isn't the whole point to kind of control the situation?
No.
Really?
What do you think?
I'm interested to hear what your thought process is.
I don't think we can control a patient, and that is why Western medicine has struggled.
So what are you doing if you're not controlling?
I think that we are giving them the tools to make changes in their life that they feel like they can participate in, maybe even control a little bit of. But we are not the ones that are controlling. We can give them supplements, botanicals, herbals, homeopathics. We can tell them to practice gratitude. We could tell them to exercise more. But that's not a control. To me, it's a suggestion, and you're working with the patient. Like it's a collaborative experience between a physician and patient. So that shouldn't be a state of control, because that's damaging your relationship with the patient if you're going at it as a controlling way.
Okay, so dancer, actor, wanted to be psychologist, talented as a writer, tinfoil time number 2. So I like this idea of like kind of surrender, because in all these maybe more metaphysical methods of healing, I think that is a motif. I want to touch on, in particular, astronomy. You said you used to look at the sky a lot. And in my past conversations with you, you seem to have a more robust understanding of the zodiac. So what do you think is the significance, the medical significance of different constellations? How do you think they're affecting our physiology?
Well, if I think that the zodiac constellations, that if these points in the sky somehow carry a certain energy to it, and it's infused into us when we're born at the exact time of our birth, then that would impact how we're carrying on in life, like every part of us, so mind, body, spirit. So if we're experiencing a disease, it's not necessarily only because of our zodiac, but it could be influenced. For instance, if you have a placement where you have 2 planets against one another, that can cause more tension and strife. I would imagine you could be more prone to anxiety in life. If you're more prone to anxiety, then that's going to hurt your constitution, and you might be in more of a fight or flight state. So part of your goal in life is constantly doing self-care to smooth out those tension instead of allowing it to create disease in your body. And there's multiple factors to disease, but if we're touching specifically on zodiac, that is an idea that I have for how it could influence your health.
So almost as if it's a diagnostic tool.
No, I don't think it can be a diagnostic tool.
Well, maybe not like an official one, but you're saying like, okay, 2 planets are at odds with each other. It could also manifest systems at odds with each other in your body.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
sounds really reminiscent of like Chinese medicine.
Yeah, totally.
And Chinese medicine isn't invalid at all. I do think with astrology there's so much stigma around it.
Yes.
But there's got to be something to it.
I think we just need to be open. Just be open, read it. Okay, cool. If you want to analyze it and rip it apart, go ahead. But when you're open to it, that's when pieces really start to come together.
Well, I cannot imagine that there can be giant balls of electromagnetic impulses and fire floating in the sky and they don't affect you at all. That sounds impossible to me. Are you familiar with the Schumann resonance?
No, I have no clue what that is.
Okay, so basically the ionosphere, which is a layer of Earth's atmosphere, emits a particular radio frequency that interacts with a certain set of neurons in our brain. And there are some papers that have been written about it, detailing how it can help regulate emotions. There's a particular PubMed article I want to pull up. There's even one about how it can affect cardiovascular outcomes, blood pressure. But I think here's the main one. So here's an article, PubMed, Human Intelligence, the Brain, and Electromagnetic System Synchronized by the Schumann Resonance Signal. So I'm not going to read all through this, but it's basically what I'm saying is, like, we're not mutually exclusive from, like, the ambient frequencies.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's so much beyond the scenes that we aren't aware of that are impacting us as humans.
Magic,
absolutely. And it's partly magic because we don't have access to that reality or dimension, however you want to describe it. I recently have been listening to a podcast. It's called the Telepathy Tapes. And it starts out as
tapes.
It's about non-verbal autistic children that are telepathic.
I see. Okay.
Whether it be with their mother, whether it be with other autistic nonverbals, or anybody. It seems to vary depending on the autistic individual. But they're full-on conversating and seeing through often their mother's eyes. And they've done so many experiments with it and for it to prove it. And it is definitely a thing.
Wow.
They'll be conversing with a friend that lives thousands of miles away telepathically.
Wow.
And according to this podcast, they all meet on this, what they call the hill, and they all converse there, these autistic nonverbals.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense. If you aren't able to speak, I believe that our bodies are sensitive and will adapt, and they probably have tapped into a nonverbal way of speaking so that they can still connect with humans. Because as a human, we have such a drive to connect. So if they're not able to do that verbally, I'm sure they've tapped into full-on telepathy.
Well, I tend to believe that too. Have you heard the story of the one guy? He's he's deaf or he's blind. He's blind, but he's learned to use sonar like a dolphin does, and he can ride a bike. There's a video of this guy doing it. So he like clicks inside of his mouth, and then like the sound waves go out and come back to him, and he like renders an image in his brain.
I haven't even heard of this.
So look into that. I'm going to look into these telepathy tapes. Okay. So in terms of astronomy, there's the zodiac. But then one, I think to the point of the zodiac, one very obvious star that has a lot of effect on us is the sun. And nobody's debating that. Which is why I find it so interesting that all like constellations, which are the same thing, is such a stretch for people.
You are ruled by the sun because you're a Leo sun.
This is a fact.
And you're a Leo moon.
This is a fact.
So your moon sign is ruled by the opposite, which is the sun.
This is a fact.
Yeah.
And you are Aquarius.
Partly.
Okay. And what is the...
Aquarius moon.
And so what's the sun sign?
Libra.
Libra. Mm-hmm. I see the scales.
Yes.
And what does that mean to you?
The scales?
Yeah.
I am constantly trying to bring together multiple types of information, and especially oppositions. Mm-hmm. I find that really intriguing. When people think totally different things, I try to extract what's the same from each side and see the middle point of it all. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I am always trying to balance out a situation and feel into someone else and meet them where they're at. And I feel like that's a very scale-oriented way of being.
So, okay, if you had a patient, say a patient comes in and they're a typical like Virgo or something, would you?
I'll close my door. I'm just kidding.
What what have you heard about Virgos? Why is that?
No, I'm totally kidding. I just wanted to make a joke.
Okay.
Virgos are great. My aunt, my brother, my stepdad, ex-stepdad. Oh.
The Virgin, Virgo. Okay. Would you approach them differently? Would you take into account how their personality may be as a result of this?
That's a really good question, and I don't know yet. Part of me says absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I feel I already catch myself doing that on my own when I find out someone's birthday or I'm trying to guess it. I'm putting together an idea of them and I try to pinpoint maybe what a sign is. And I think I'd be lying to myself if I didn't try to do that with my patients. And I'll definitely look at their birthday and probably make some mental note of it. But will that create a bias that maybe isn't true or relevant? I don't know. So that's something I'm going to have to figure out as a doctor. But it would also be beneficial if there is true truth and weight to astrology. I think it's a really good method to be able to approach your patient in a conducive way and meet them where they're at and use language that will make sense to them.
I think so too. I've observed this in my mom in particular. She's a Cancer, right? And this isn't
Motherly.
Yes, it's true. And the Cancer archetype is like very emotional, particularly in the season, which I noticed is true. She's
like end of June, most of July.
Yes, she's full of emotions during those times.
Because she feels like she can finally own it.
I don't know if she even thinks about the fact that she's a Cancer, though.
No, but I feel like maybe in some subconscious way, it's your season. Like she's not paying attention to it, but she can feel herself be able to express more openly.
That's interesting. I also do notice she, and myself as well, do you ever get like seasonal sets of emotions, maybe like a seasonal depression?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, different times of the year.
I think
it's a little different, especially being in Arizona, because it's summer and slightly spring for the whole year.
That's true. Although even though I'm here in Arizona, it's less pronounced, but I still do find the same patterns are like ingrained.
Do you feel they're connected to any bigger, heavier points in your life? Like you're reliving that subconsciously at those times of the year?
It's very possible. Are you ever like doing something, or maybe there's a particular moment happening in your life, right? And you get the vibe from like childhood or something, or like a childhood vibe?
Totally.
I think that might be like some sort of intuition that like a cycle has completed, or a cycle has come full circle. I don't know though.
Yeah.
This is one of my goals here in naturopathy, is to be able to research these sort of things and get some real answers. Because we're not tinfoil people. We're scientists.
Yes.
Okay, moon phase.
Moon phase.
This one's very interesting because particularly I've heard that women's menstrual cycles coincide with moon phases, or that it just represents femininity in general and sort of dictates women's emotions and some biological processes in a way. Have you heard this? Do you have any experience with this? Have you seen this?
Yeah. At different points in my life, my cycle has started on the full moon. And it feels so right when it happens.
Really?
It doesn't always stay with it, but I've noticed when I have made like bigger changes in my life, my cycle starts to sync up with the full moon.
Interesting.
Like when I let go of something, move forward take a leap, leave something behind. My cycle goes with the moon. But you also have to take into consideration someone might just have hormonal imbalances and they may not always be synced up. But I've noticed that a lot of women, for instance, I think not this full moon, but the one before that, most of my friends started their period on the full moon.
Did you notice anyone around here having that as well?
At different points, yeah. Yeah.
I've heard from several other ladies in this cohort that you guys' like menstrual cycles
sync up.
What is that about? How is that happening?
Okay, so when I was in dance 5 days a week with the same girls, we would all get moody around the same time, and our dance teacher would say, well, I know your guys' periods are about to come, and we would all start on the same day or within a 2 to 3 day like span. I wonder if it's a communal thing. Like when we're around someone, our brains kind of sync up and we start thinking similar. We'll say the same thing at the same time. I feel like on a physiological, hormonal level, our bodies are also doing the same. And maybe it's beneficial, like if you go back like to tribe time, maybe it's beneficial as a unit to all have the same hormonal fluctuations at the same time.
That's a pretty profound phenomenon, because like that really goes to show how much your environment, particularly people in your environment, affects your state. I guess this is why they say like you shouldn't have like negative influences around you. Some of the patients I had observed with Dr. Michaela, one of them, she had she was struggling with some just toxic relationships, which Dr. Michaela had suspected had something to do with her pathology.
What do you mean pathology?
Like it was causing her illness.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I mean, I can't imagine how many other people. I think the default kind of relationship for the average person is pretty toxic, is what I've noticed.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that too.
Just like,
and it makes me feel kind of down sometimes.
And I mean like any kind of relationship. And I can see why you would feel down about it.
Do you feel down about it?
I did at first because...
When was that first? How long ago?
So, this is when I noticed, right? Because when I was a kid, like a very young kid, I had the most sauce and drip of anybody.
Oh,
it was
so much Riz.
Immaculate.
Full on Leo. It was popping off when you were young, I'm sure.
It's very true what you're saying.
Yeah, there was no boundaries to it.
No, it did get me in trouble a little bit, but...
Also going through puberty with all that Leo, so much was happening at once.
I could tell you some stories.
Yeah.
But essentially what happened is when you're sort of winning that hard, you accumulate a lot of haters.
Oh, yeah.
But children don't know that.
No, you don't, because you're innocent.
Right.
You don't know that you have haters simply by being yourself.
Precisely.
And it's hurtful when you discover that.
Oh, man. This seems to be like the average trajectory for a teenager in America.
Absolutely.
Is, okay, then they have the purity, the innocence, they have the unfilteredness, the ability to like create the realities that they want because they don't believe in limitations.
Yeah. You're young and boundless.
And boundless.
Yes.
But then the haters come, and I think some of the hatred is built into the school system itself. Like trying to tell you what to do. Hey, don't do that. Well, what do you...
You could definitely expand on that, you know?
I could. I think literally it's like jail a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that is then influencing society at a large because we're almost trained within the school system?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Literally, the Nazis did this. This is documented. Like Mao communist school. China still does it to this day. Everyone thinks that, only Hitler did that. No, we're doing that here.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't benefit the powers that be not to have a subservient population. So I think that indoctrination is built into the school system for that reason.
Yes.
And so relating...
Sorry, I have another question.
Yeah.
Do you envision a different type of school system? And if so, how do we do it differently? We have different forms. There's Montessori, there's the Waldorf schools, which have tried to do it differently.
I like the idea of a Montessori. I think...
There's a lot here in Phoenix.
I've heard.
I see them all the time driving.
That's, I guess...
There's one right down the road.
That way?
On Broadway, yeah.
I think there needs to be like an active protection of the energy in that space. And I think the kids should be given more freedom to express themselves. Because, like, you notice, even I still have this problem in class, right? Of just, like, asking questions in class is a triggering experience that comes from school.
Like being afraid to ask questions?
Almost everybody has that problem.
Absolutely. I get scared.
Why? Why should it be? Logically, it makes no sense to be scared.
You should be encouraged to ask questions.
Correct.
And I always feel a sense of shame asking questions. But then I think we have to take it upon ourselves to kind of combat that shame and do it anyways. And that's an act of courage to keep asking questions.
It's true.
Yeah. And I've noticed professors, most of them, unless they're cranky and old or just not energized and tired, I think that they respect it when you ask questions.
Well, at this point, it's too late, right? So
I'm going to challenge that. Nothing is too late.
Nothing. No, I don't mean too late as in the problem can't be solved, but it's too late to now all of a sudden have that. Like, that's what you were supposed to give the kids before.
Yeah.
So that we wouldn't end up in this predicament. 6 tenets of naturopathy, right? Root cause could be whatever traumatic incident happened to that kid in the past. But what's always the best thing to do is prevention, which is why we need to make sure the kids don't experience that in the first place.
Yeah. Protect the children.
You have to protect the children.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So many things are after the children.
Why?
Because they're the future, right? So if you wanted
liver sigh.
This is gonna be a controversial statement, but I'm gonna stand by it, right?
Okay.
You remember, if not so long ago, the whole transsexual thing that started happening, right?
I do remember. I think we all are aware.
Okay.
It's still happening.
It's still happening.
Yes.
But think about it, right? In order for them to, whatever force community is trying to, like, pervert the minds of children so deep, like, if they want more members, they're the kids are where you get recruit from.
Absolutely, they're a vulnerable brain.
Precisely.
They don't have the same constructs that we do.
No, they don't.
Because they haven't been built yet.
Well, I would argue that, like, a child, I mean, if you subscribe to the ideas of, like, reincarnation and things, that a child does already have, like, a inherent profile.
Yes.
But it has to be, like, realized. Didn't you, I don't know if I sent you this video, this reel, or you sent it to me. You know that Matrix scene?
Yes,
with the Oracle,
yeah.
right? I think it's like that.
Yes.
But maybe everyone isn't able to accomplish the task, which is a sad idea.
Yeah, it's really sad. but it's true. And that's something that you grow to make peace with age.
Why?
Why
make peace with it and not aggressively oppose?
Well, no, I say make peace with it that not everyone will. To me, like, my heart hurts for someone who won't be able to. I'm not saying myself won't. That I won't allow to happen. But if someone else, for whatever reason, whatever circumstance, like they aren't going to fully complete, that is where I think that you make peace with.
It's so crazy. I literally was having this conversation last night. We were talking about Jesus, right? And we were talking about like spiritual enlightenment. And my argument was that everyone's capable of it, like achieving their full, like.
So everyone's capable of being Jesus? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I might be saying that. I don't know, maybe. But what I do know is true is that everyone can attain heaven, right? That's the story. And I'm not saying...
And do you mean attain heaven in earthly life or when we pass over?
So Jesus was doing miracles, and how he was able to do that was through spiritual expansion, right? He was fasting, he was praying, and he was learning about the mysteries.
Yeah.
And he had disciples who weren't him, but they were doing the same thing. So I do believe that regular people can develop their spiritual... I think it's almost necessary. Because what was the story was that Jesus dies, and then he goes to heaven after he dies. But his death granted everyone else access to salvation, which is the same heaven. And so I'm thinking that's like an allegory saying that everyone has the capability to become enlightened or have like a Kundalini experience or like open...
Kundalini yoga.
Yeah, well...
Have you done Kundalini yoga?
I've never done Kundalini yoga.
There's a place, I accidentally just stumbled upon it a couple weeks ago. It was the most bizarre experience I have ever had in my life.
Well, what happened?
At a yoga class. Okay, so I pulled up to this place. I canceled something, or my friend and I canceled something, and I was like, you know what, I still want to do something, so I'm going to go find a yoga class. I show up at this place 5 minutes down the road from my house, and it said that the class was starting at 6:45, and lights out, no one was there. So I get in my car to leave, someone pulls up, and they tell me, oh, hey, the owner was late last time. Like, I'll text her and see if she's going to be late again.
Okay.
At this point, it's 6:45, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess we'll find out.
Okay.
He comes back, he's like, yeah, she's coming. I'm like, okay, sweet. I'll just wait for her then. And she pulls up. It's past 7 at this point, so we're already over 15 minutes late for this class set at 6:45 online. And she shows up with her dog, and I go, oh, nice, I have my dog in my car too. And she goes, oh, you should bring him in. I said, oh, okay, thanks. No one's ever offered to let me bring my dog into a yoga class. She's like, oh yeah, as long as he's just like hanging out. I said, okay. So I bring him in. Her dog is freaking out and starts like pissing all over the place because now there's another dog in the yoga studio, my dog. And she's taking forever. It's like another 20 minutes. We finally get into the studio, and Kundalini yoga is just bizarre if you haven't done it before. You do lots of different breathing exercises, and you do different poses, and I believe you're trying to draw in like the Kundalini energy, which is, I believe, of a snake. So you do a lot of poses and breathing that are very snake-like, and you make expressions with it, and it was just bizarre. By the time I'm done with the class, it's past 8 p.m., and the class was supposed to be done at like 7:45. It's like 8:40 at this point.
7:45 a.m.?
No, p.m. Yeah, and this lady, her name is Pope Kitty.
Pope Kitty.
Yeah. And she's like a 70-ish-year-old woman who is full on. She wears a turban. She's a white woman wearing a turban named Pope Kitty.
So what did you feel?
I felt great afterwards, honestly. Like, I felt energized.
how did it change your consciousness whilst you were doing it or after?
I felt awakened. Like I had more just like I felt more open and awakened afterwards. Yeah. And like my eyes were brighter after the class. And my spirit felt lighter. I was feeling kind of heavy going into the class. Like things were weighing me down. Afterwards, I felt good.
It's interesting you notice your eyes being brighter. I find that is a hallmark of someone being sort of spiritually open or having a high vibration. When you do MDMA, so we know we know about the dilation, which is is it sympathetic or parasympathetic that causes dilation? Pretty sure it's sympathetic. Constriction of the pupils is a parasympathetic stimulus. Anyway, certain chemical...
I think it's parasympathetic. You're reading a book, you want them to expand, and then sympathetic, yeah, they constrict.
Right. Okay, so someone's... Let me just Google this to make
I'm
sure.
like, we need to review that fizz.
What kind of...
All caps.
Is pupil dilation sympathetic?
You would think we should remember this with capstone.
It's okay. This is not medical advice. We're students. It's okay. Okay, so it's sympathetic activation. Okay, so sympathetic means on go, like activated. The sympathetic nervous...
Okay, it was opposite. So pupil dilation is sympathetic, and then pupil constriction is parasympathetic.
Right. So, what you notice with a lot of serotonergic drugs is they all dilate the pupils.
Yeah.
So, in a state of like high spiritual susceptibility, someone's pupils are dilated.
But I've been around people on drugs with constricted pupils, which you would think would be parasympathetic, but they act in like it's full on sympathetic mode.
Are you talking about psychedelic drugs?
I'm talking about I don't know. That's the thing. I have a drug addict in my life, and yeah, they're constricted pupils. It is not a parasympathetic state.
So I think one of the differences is like drugs that are meant to sort of sedate or cope tend to use, like if someone's high on marijuana, their eyes are like glazed over, like they're out of it, versus like someone who just had mushrooms and like they're seeing like, oh my God, like, you know, like they're like, oh, this is the answer, right? Like oh, I want to.
Have you found the answer?
So a friend of mine named Gerald, who definitely isn't
Harold
me.
and Gerald.
Yes, a friend of mine named Gerald, who is definitely not me, right, is once consumed medical grade MDMA. Okay.
So I didn't know there was a medical grade.
Yeah, so typically what happens is that most people's introduction to MDMA is through ecstasy, which is cut with things like cocaine.
Yes.
And other stimulants.
And that's going to bring a totally different experience.
Very different experience. But pure MDMA is a psychedelic and it's serotonergic, like LSD, like psilocybin. But what was different about this experience, according to Gerald's recount, is that what he experienced was unbridled positivity and love. So all of his inhibitions had gone, and he could like feel other people as they were, like you could
full on empath.
The empathy is as maximum as possible.
Wow. See, I'm afraid if I went into that state.
Why?
I feel like I'm already very like a sponge, and then I feel like if I went into that state, I could be so overwhelmed.
I think the difference of what he tells me is that the difference was there's an air of positivity. Here's one thing that happened to him while he was on this experience. So he was trying to go to a bar with his friends. All his friends are 21, but he's not 21 yet. So he has a fake ID. and he gets busted with the fake ID. Now, usually you get busted, your night is kind of like ruined, like your vibe is
But
killed.
Gerald said absolutely not.
No, literally, it wasn't possible to kill Gerald's vibe. There is no negative outlook isn't possible anymore.
Yeah.
So you can only keep vibing. So, like, he's thinking to himself, oh, okay, I'm getting caught up. Oh, at least I can, like, meet these officers. Oh, maybe they'll give me community service. That'll be good. I want to try some community service. It's
Wow.
like that. It's like there's
What
no...
if we approached life under that capacity?
Well, that's what Gerald's been trying to do
Yes.
endogenously since then.
Yes. You tapped into the state of consciousness and being that you want to carry on into your normal existence.
Yes. And I think Gerald is going to figure out how to do that. And I'm also going to figure out how to do that.
Gerald and Harold.
And Harold.
They seem like a duo.
Oh, you know, we've had many experiences together.
Going way back.
Way, way back.
To childhood.
To
Birth.
yes. In
First
fact,
breath.
I think our oocytes were fertilized simultaneously, even perhaps.
Wow.
Yes.
Excellent science intertwined.
Yes, but where are we going with this? I brought this point up because I wanted to say that I think pupil dilation is an indication of someone being in a highly positive state of mind.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed, like, very positive people having dilated pupils, or maybe their eyes are a certain way?
I have not noticed that. But I come with the baggage of having a close drug addict in my life. So when I think of constricted pupils, I think of like, oh no, they're on drugs again. Or if I think of dilated, expanded pupils, I'm like, oh, on drugs again. So, but as far as the eyes go, away from dilation, I feel like you can just look in someone's eyes and know if their heart is true and good and if their intentions are good. And I think the eyes say so much.
It's true, but then there are poker players who literally...
There are poker players. That's also what you discover.
And actors.
Yes. Myself included.
Yourself included.
No, I'm kidding. I like acting. It's fun.
Acting is fun. I also like acting.
Yeah.
How are you doing it on time? We just hit 59 minutes.
I'm doing good. I'm straight vibing, Harold.
It's we've been confused before. Okay. So I was going to go to tarot, but it doesn't seem like you think about tarot too much.
I have used tarot.
Hold up.
And I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if it got me anywhere different. I'm on a journey right now discovering how I want to communicate with God. Mm-hmm. And I've used tarot, I've used astrology, I've used the Bible, I've used prayer, and what I've used just going on a walk, intention. But right now, I'm trying to figure out how I want, like, what the best method for me is. I think tarot took me really nowhere. It got me nowhere. And I feel like it could be a false impression.
Are you open to doing one right now?
Absolutely.
So ChatGPT can do tarot readings.
Yes.
And I saw someone do one recently, and it was fairly accurate.
Miss Farah.
Yes. How did you know that?
Telepathy.
Stop playing. No, she told you about this, did she?
She told me that because she wanted me to read her astrology chart, and she goes, ChatGPT can also do tarot.
I see.
I've used an AI tarot before. There's one website that is also astrology, and I've used it in my low points.
Why was it a low? Like, why would you?
Like, I needed answers type of thing.
I see.
And when I desperately need answers, I'm probably in a lower place because I'm not at peace.
Vibe check, vibe check. 1, 2. This is the part of the podcast where we do a vibe check. What's the vibe right now?
Straight vibes.
Word.
Yeah.
We got some Palo Alto right now. Straight chilling, man.
This is the vibe check we needed. How are you doing, Harold?
I'm at a point where my drip is becoming so immaculate that I can't contain it anymore.
And you shouldn't contain it.
I realize that now. There's a particular BB Simon belt that I have to purchase, and I don't have a choice. I don't know if you know what a BB Simon belt is.
I have no clue.
Oh, yes, you do.
Are you going to start wearing it? Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I want you to start wearing this to school every day.
Well, that's my intention. Now,
multiple ones.
Now, these are expensive belts, so we're going to have to build the collection slowly over time. I got one now.
It looks like I could maybe make this on an arts and craft night.
You certainly could, but these have Swarovski crystals in them. So what's important about these is they, like, shine. Like, one time I was wearing the belt, and, like, a ray of light hit it, and it projected rainbows onto the wall. And I lost my mind.
Okay, so you already have one.
I have one, but it's a small one. It's like this length, and it's not big enough.
Maybe you can go and find one at a thrift store.
It's possible, but
B. Simon.
They would be grabbed like that.
Ooh, Facebook Marketplace. Wow, they really are expensive.
That's what I'm saying. These are Swarovski crystals. They're all handmade
straight
to order.
Dripping.
Yes, straight dripping.
Icy.
Straight ice.
Yeah.
So I need one, and I will have one soon. Vibe check. That's how I'm doing. I need a BB Simon, and I need some more bedazzlement.
Yeah, get those earrings.
I certainly will.
Nose piercing.
I probably won't do the nose.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the nose piercing?
I don't mind nose piercings on other people. I just like my nose clean, personally.
Absolutely.
Earring is about as far as I would go with body modifications, probably.
A single earring.
Yeah, probably a single earring.
One side?
Left side.
Okay, why left?
Because I don't want people to think I'm gay, right? Because you put on the right, it's an innuendo that you're gay.
I didn't know this. I learn new things every day.
Well, now you know that.
I need my street smarts to really increase, you know? So I can get that mad drip.
You're doing all right, Abby. You're doing okay for now.
For now.
ChatGPT.
Okay, tarot reading. So do you like to use tarot?
I had one of my lady friends once give me a tarot deck. It's still in Maryland at my house.
Was this lady friend a devil worshiper?
No, but she has, you guys would probably be very good friends. She is like similar. She's like similar to you. She's just like in that space. She's not like
open
is what I'm saying. So anyway, give Abby a tarot reading on what she will do today. Okay, so give me a moment to shuffle and see what comes through.
He's shuffling. Hurry up.
Today's a fresh start, Abby. It's a day filled with potential and new beginnings. You might feel like stepping into the unknown or taking a risk. It's a time of enthusiasm and curiosity where anything feels possible.
Starting the day with a podcast.
Then you got the Magician. Abby has the power to make things happen today. She's fully equipped with all resources, skills, and energy she needs to manifest what she wants. Today's the day to tap into her inner creativity and focus on making progress. And then we have the outcome, which is the Chariot. Victory and determination are in her path. Abby's headed towards success, but will require focus, control, and strong will. Whatever she takes, if she maintains balance and drives forward with purpose, she'll be able to steer her day toward positive results.
It just feels so general.
Yeah, this one is very general.
It's so general. Like, anyone could read that and be like, okay, I'm going to have a good day today.
Do you have like any particular like questions you want to ask to test this better?
I always have questions.
Well, let's get one.
I don't have the question yet.
Okay, no rush. That was just going to be an experiment. Now,
so did you do one for yourself with ChatGPT?
I've never done one for myself. I've used tarot just like to try to expand my own like intuitive capabilities. But I've never...
Do you feel like it was expanded?
I think so. I think I do have an inherent intuitive ability.
Yeah.
I think so.
Do you think you can read people pretty well?
I'd say so. Yeah. I would also consider myself an empathetic person, which is why like for example, like after a full day of class,
drained.
Right. It's just so many like people, their like energy, their emotions, and then I feel bad a lot of the times. You need to take him out?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
He does this all the time.
Oh, okay.
24/7.
He's just got a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
He knows I'm talking about him.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Shout out to my dog.
Shout out to the dog.
Mr. Bowie.
That's his name, Bowie?
Yeah.
Like David Bowie?
Yeah, I have a good story with that, too.
Okay.
So, my little childhood dog named Katie died unexpectedly. She was about 12, almost 13. I was heartbroken, devastated. This little thing was my obsession. Loved her so much. Took her anywhere I could with me. And I was so heartbroken, I needed to get a dog. Stat. Oh my gosh. Oh no, okay. Tomorrow is the anniversary of her death. I just now realized. And now he's talking to you.
What's up, bro?
So about a week later, I begin my search for a new dog to fill my heart. You know, there's a big empty hole. I'm getting another dog. Okay. And in that moment, I understood why people immediately start dating someone else after a long relationship. I understood in that moment. I'm like, okay, I get it. They're just trying to fill their heart again. That's what I was doing with my dog. So I don't know, I just looked at their ad for little Bowies, and I was like, yeah, sure, that dog looks good enough. And I thought I was getting a girl dog. And the day or a couple days before I went to go pick him up, they call me and they're like, hey, Abby, no good way to tell you this, but your girl dog is actually a boy. We misgendered the entire litter. And I said, wow, that's interesting. I'm fine getting a boy dog. I just had to come up with a name now. And they're like, yeah, we've been calling her, now him, Bowtie, because there's a white patch underneath the chin, especially as a puppy, and they said Bowtie. So I'm like, okay, I can't come up with the guy name Bowtie, I'm going with Bowie. And at the time, my boyfriend was like, oh, that's perfect, because David Bowie was kind of androgynous and would dress kind of feminine and expand those boundaries. And I said, that is an excellent symbolic reason to also name him that. My story isn't even done. Okay. It continues. It gets more and more wild. So I bring little Bowie home and I open up his papers. I'm like, I should probably find when his birthday is. I look and it's January 8th and I start laughing because my father, who passed away, his birthday is January 8th. And I said, of course. Hello, Papa. I hear you. Not saying my dog is my father reincarnated, but to me it was like my father telling me, and a reminder for Bowie's whole life that he is here, and I will keep celebrating his birthday on January 8th. Okay, story gets crazier. So a couple months go by. I tell my brother, I'm like, hey, Ben, by the way, Bowie has Dad's birthday. Isn't that crazy? And he goes, that's crazy. And what makes it crazier is because Dad's birthday is also David Bowie's birthday. I look it up. David Bowie's birthday, January 8th.
That seems like a synchronicity. I mean, it was like a triple situation.
It was crazy. And now I get to tell the story whenever someone asks me if I named him after David Bowie.
But do you think synchronicities like that have like significance? Would you look for something like that in a medical application? Like, say, for example, somebody had a set of 3s in their symptoms. I don't know. Maybe they...
The 4 Ps. Or the 4 Ds.
The 4 Ds.
Dementia, dermatitis, death, diarrhea.
Interesting. Or maybe, are there any other like trios or quadruples like that?
I'm sure as we continue on in Gen Med, we will discover more. I recently read, I was looking at some notes and it said the 3 Ps. I forget what they were, but it was in regards to something that we are going to learn in Gen Med.
I think if I ever saw a synchronicity like that, I would take a deeper look with a patient.
Absolutely.
Like, because it seems that, like, that's, like, for some reason, like, the universe communicates with repetition.
Yeah.
But, listen, guys, I heard one guy say, right? He said, the laws of physics are like a pool table. So if you are trying to shoot a ball, it abides by the laws of physics. And if you do a certain input, you will get a certain output. However, an external force can just shake the table. So the laws of physics didn't change, but the environment was manipulated.
Yes.
And so I think in many cases, like when someone sees like a glitch, I know a lot of kids see just like strange shit happen. I've seen strange things happen where I'm like, whoa.
Like what?
Let me think about that.
Whoa.
I had one dream where I swear I saw like Satan or something when I was a kid. I was after I had watched The Terminator. What I saw in the dream was like, I just can't really describe it to you. There aren't words to describe it, but it was just like pure evil.
And it made an impression.
It made a very deep, long-lasting impression. It's news story time. So this is the part of the podcast where we have a look at a recent medical news story.
Shooby bop bop.
Yes, shooby bop bop. And we've got a few recently. So here's a video. Let me see if I could play it here. But basically there's a man who's looking into farm-raised salmon.
Oh.
So basically, a lot of the farm-raised salmon is...
Yummy.
It's yummy, but they feed them coloring.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
So that they're extremely pink, but a normal salmon is white, which is crazy.
Okay, then what about the Alaskan ocean fresh-caught salmon that is pink?
Well, you're not getting that at Costco, that's for sure. I mean,
Yes, I am.
Oh.
Alaskan sockeye salmon. At least in Idaho, there's a specific period of time where you can go to Costco and get that Alaskan fresh-caught sockeye salmon.
Well, I believe those are...
And it is pink. It like almost red.
Okay. I think that's true. I think what he's saying is the farm-raised salmon comes out white.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So
farm raised, yeah, white. So they're giving it the pink color.
The coloring.
Yes. It's disgusting.
It's pretty weird. It's pretty strange. And
Gross.
I wonder how much other strange things they're just adding to food, but then they're just not even going to tell you about.
Yeah. And it isn't inherently, I think, evil other than the basis of money, which money can be very evil. And I don't think it's like a conspiracy theory all the time where it's like, oh, they're strategically trying to make us sick and XYZ. I don't think that's always true. I think at the end of the day, a lot of times it's for money. So they want more sales of their salmon, and we know that salmon is good and salmon is pink. So they're going to dye it pink in order for our consumption so that we buy their farmed salmon.
You know what's really interesting about that is I think the American population is particularly like, I don't want to say dumb, but overstimulated. Because they don't need these sales techniques in other countries. Like, it's here in particular that adding the extra sugar, adding the extra colors, like, gets more sales.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
It's really bizarre. I don't know.
So what have you seen in other countries?
The Fanta, for example, is made with orange juice in Barcelona. And I drank it. My sister brought some back with me. I drank it. I'm like, this is orange juice soda. But what we have is orange color soda.
Yeah, with corn syrup.
With corn syrup.
And orange 75 dye.
Oh, dear.
Orange Lake.
Oh, dear. It's crazy, but I'm interested to know, like, why the American brain is so diminished in part. Like, everyone thinks we're dumb outside of this country.
Yeah, and it's sad that that's the impression.
It is sad. Where I'm going with this is another byproduct of that is our medical industry is particularly messed up.
Yes.
Which I think is why we've gotten into naturopathy.
Yes.
Why do you think Americans are just so susceptible to being, like, poisoned? Almost as if they are, like, asking for it.
That's a really good question. And I think there's multiple facets. But where my mind goes instantly is that we are of, like, the pioneers of a capitalistic society that is based upon sales, and you will do what you have to do to make your sale. And some people are doing that with integrity and make an amazing product. And then others are going to a more trickery and deceiving side to make those sales because they can't be authentic and make a true and good product. And so I think that we've been blinded. Another thought I just had is even, like, that a lot of our modern day society has been built around, like, Hollywood. And that's all, like, glamour and what things look like. And it's like this facade. So I almost feel that when it comes to products, like, we go for, like, what looks good. And with that, the product can be manipulated and actually not good. Those are just some thoughts I have.
I think you have a point there.
What are some of your thoughts?
Well, it's true, the thing about that you mentioned about Hollywood. Then not just Hollywood, also there's, like, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, our side of it is just so... You know what really pisses me off are some of these thumbnails, right?
What are thumbnails?
A thumbnail is like, this is a thumbnail.
You, like, pull up my YouTube channel?
That would have been funny. But this is a thumbnail, like this. Like the image.
Oh, they're like, you're going to like this?
Exactly.
And this is pulling you in.
Right. It's like,
Harold, you need to watch migrants hiding.
Migrants
in
hiding.
an ice raid.
they're just like targeting your most visceral, primal, strings.
And the AI is designed. It's figured out different parts of you.
It knows a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah. My ChatGPT knows probably too much about me.
Why do you say that?
I willingly have given ChatGPT information about myself because I have ChatGPT interpret my dreams.
Okay.
And so then I'll also expand on my life and how I think it could relate to me. And I've also used chat as like a counselor. Like if I need to like type out a thought, I have given it to chat.
And how do you feel about that?
I feel like it's safe and private for now. I don't know where chat could use that information in the future. Because someone somewhere can access everything I've ever said to ChatGPT.
Yes.
And could weaponize that against me if anything happened. I think if I just continue living an ordinary, like, good life, that probably won't happen. But let's say I start getting really into politics and
They're coming for you.
I run for something. They're coming. They will do everything to find out what I said to chat when I was 26 years old in my bedroom at 12 a.m.
You know, J.D. Vance is a proponent of like his mentor owns a company that is working on preemptive
protection
sentencing. So like based on someone's search history or their profile.
What are your thoughts on that?
Predicting the crime that they're going to do.
That's a little interesting. That's just like AI at that point.
Right.
And who determines that predictive behavior? And there's always outliers to whatever data they think they've acquired. There's always going to be outliers where it doesn't fall under that prediction.
Well, Abby, I think what we're trending towards is like a police state.
Oh, yeah. 1984.
Yes, 1984. Precisely what it seems like is going on. So I think naturopathy is a particular, because it's a counterculture at its root.
It is. We're a resistance.
I think, Abby, if you attain your full potential as a naturopath, which I'm sure you will, you're going to attract.
Yes, I've thought about that. You can finish your thought.
No. Are you worried about this at all?
Yes, I have thought about that. Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
I don't know yet. And I have thought that if this is a true passion for me, I would do anything for it. And it is a true passion. Yeah. And with that, I know I will face opposition because people that are practicing and will practice true naturopathic medicine, I think we will in some way at some point be hunted down. And people have already been hunted down in naturopathic medicine or just medicine in general where you're creating true healing.
I've heard stories about that.
Many naturopaths have died. They've been, quote unquote, they just committed suicide. But before that, they're all saying, no, I am not suicidal, XYZ, or I feel like I feel like I'm being watched, and then they end up like jumping off a bridge. Okay, did they actually jump off that bridge? Or they ended up hanging themselves. Okay, did they actually do that?
I think actually a social media presence could be a remedy for that, because it's like a really clear resume that you're not a crazy person.
Yes.
And you can also say things like you would never hang yourself.
Yes,
and,
yeah.
Like record it.
You're telling everybody that if I just randomly kill myself, no, I didn't do it.
Right.
Yeah, it's like accountability.
But
even then, it doesn't work. You will still be hunted if they want you out. But I know your social media presence could like serve as a type of protection as well.
How much money do you want to make?
So I genuinely never wanted to pursue this for money.
Sure.
Yeah. And it wasn't like because I want to make X, Y, Z. And my mindset is if I'm doing a good job as a naturopath and I'm not also allowing people to take advantage of me, I will naturally bring in good money.
What's good money?
That is what, to answer that, it's what lifestyle do I want? Like what will help me reach that lifestyle? I envision having property, and I want to have my own regenerative farm, and I want to have animals, and I want to be able to, in some way, participate in my community for healing and not just ask money all the time, and be able to do more community outreach as well. And in order to do that, I'm going to probably need some pretty good money.
Millions of dollars.
Well, eventually, like if you really want that, but I think you can start small and build up. I don't think you just need $1 million handed to you.
I think that's true. Multiple properties, are you thinking in Arizona, back in Idaho?
No, not Arizona. But yeah, back home in Idaho.
Okay.
I used to not know, but the vision has become very clear over the last, over 2024, it became very clear.
So you want to go back to Idaho to practice?
Yeah, I used to not know. I was like, I'm open, I'll go anywhere, like whatever opportunities come to me. It's become very clear that I need to go back home.
So you're going to go back to Idaho.
Yes.
And I'm assuming property values are probably lower in Idaho.
You would assume, but my area that I'm from is Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene.
Yes. During COVID, we were known as an area that did not participate in anything really as far as trying to combat the virus. It seems we kind of just let it take its course. So we didn't require masks. We could go to restaurants. We didn't have to be 6 feet apart. So we are on the edge of a larger town in Washington called Spokane. So everyone from Spokane would come over. Our business was booming, whereas everywhere else in the world, it was tanking. Our economy was thriving. I was a waitress and a bartender. Life was good. We also didn't have any higher prevalence of COVID than anywhere else in the world for population percentage. So it wasn't like we weren't just willy-nilly and all getting COVID. It didn't seem to have that much of an impact. Anyways, so yeah, it's a beautiful area. During that time, a lot of people left their bigger cities with large restrictions and moved to Idaho, specifically Coeur d'Alene area, and our real estate went up dramatically. My mother and ex-stepfather bought a home back in
This is Idaho?
Yeah, back in 2011. I like how it figured out how you wanted, like what city you wanted to say. So we bought our home, well, my mom and ex-stepfather bought the home for like $285. And now it is worth about $1 million.
Oh my gosh.
And we bought that home in, I think, 2012 or 2011. And it went up to almost $1 million, like 10 years later.
Yo, $2 million for a 5-bed? Yep. Okay, Coeur d'Alene's doing it.
They're doing it. But you have to be strategic with where you buy and what you buy. And there's outskirts to Coeur d'Alene that are probably economically a better choice if you want to live the type of lifestyle that I envision.
But would you want your practice to be more in the center of the city, or? Yes,
ultimately, yeah. But I also want to be a mother, and I'll take that super seriously. So I envision also like having, like, I'm going to want to practice medicine probably from home with my children a couple days a week too. So if I have to drive a few days a week a little far out of town to have a rural sanctuary, I'll do that.
Okay, so a couple properties, you said
Or just a property, but like some good acres.
some
yeah.
acreage. Would you like to work for someone or work for yourself or have your own?
I feel like I don't want to just jump into my career like working for myself. I think it's a good idea to maybe work in a clinic and learn from someone. That would be conducive to being a better doctor, is continuously learning. And I work best like with other people. That's when I thrive. So I would really love multiple doctors in a clinic where we're able to conversate and communicate and share ideas.
A community.
Yeah, absolutely. In different types, like not just naturopaths, all different forms of health and wellness. Yeah. I feel like, having a mini community like that would, be very fulfilling.
How much, at what point are you charging too much?
That's a good question.
I'm going to throw out some numbers and I'll
Okay.
just get some reactions for you.
Okay.
$500 an hour.
It's like, wow, that'd be a lot of money. And that means I would have to charge a patient. Unless you can make money in other ways to have it be like a $500 an hour. You can make your own herbal supplements. You could do online teaching or training where you make revenue through the means of online. That could help equate to $500. But I don't want to just charge a patient $500.
Why not?
It feels like so much money. And would I also miss another population? And is it fair to charge certain people that can $500, but other patients that can't less? Is that fair?
I don't think it's unfair.
Okay.
How much do you think you're worth? How much is your time worth to you?
You're asking someone who isn't a doctor yet, so
No, but
the knowledge.
the vision of you that you are trying to create.
Yes.
How much is their time worth?
Okay. If it's out of pocket, I can't help but feel like $500 is a lot of money. But at the same time, first patient appointment, you could maybe charge more. So $500 isn't that out of reach.
$1,000.
That feels like just so much. You never know. With time, maybe I'll be like, yep, I'm worth that, and I want to charge that. And if you want to see me, this is what it's going to cost. Take it or leave it. I'm sure I could gather that type of confidence and attitude. But where I'm currently at, I'm like, whoa.
Okay, imagine you are Supreme Abby.
Supreme.
You're Supreme Abby.
And Supreme Gerald. Oh, that's a rough cough.
It's just some phlegm left over from the recent influenza. Okay.
Your RSV.
My RSV.
In the winter time.
Here's Supreme Abby over here.
She's sitting there.
She's sitting here.
I'd like to shake her hand, honestly.
I mean, you can do it right now. She's right here.
I just shook the hand of my future self.
What's up, Supreme Abby?
What's up, Gerald?
You look so cool and successful right now. You look like you're just like doing it. How much is $10,000 for one appointment or one treatment set? Is that a lot of money, or do you think the care you're providing is worth that?
I think $10,000 is a little out of reach.
Okay.
I will provide amazing care, but $10K, that's wild to me. I will say 500, yeah. Okay. I'm getting over that. I'm saying yes to 500. Absolutely.
Supreme Abby,
What's up, Gerald?
$100,000 for a one-on-one, all-inclusive interaction.
Yeah.
For the results the patient asks for.
Okay. Here's my counter argument. If I were to charge that type of money, I am isolating my form of practicing medicine to a specific, very wealthy population.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing inherently wrong, but I also am a humanitarian at heart. And by being a humanitarian, you want to make your medicine accessible to people that can't. So you know what? Sure. Let's say I accept, I'm like, yep, $100,000, Mr. Bill Gates. Just kidding. I would charge him.
You could charge him whatever you want.
I'm charging him $1 million for our first appointment.
And he'll do it, no problem.
He'll be like, okay.
Whatever.
He'll be like, chump money.
Literally.
He'd be like, okay, I won't buy an extra acre in North Dakota.
He'll still buy the extra.
It'll be like, I'm going to buy 10 more now because of doctors like you. Yeah, so as long as I could still give back to community in another way on my own time. Sure. I will up my rates if I'm making more money, but I will hold myself to an ethical and moral like standard of then I need to give back to the people that do not have access to this.
Okay.
Yeah. See, that is my dilemma, where I don't want to confine myself to only the wealthy, because a humanitarian heart shouldn't only help the wealthy.
What if a patient comes in, just the way your business works out, in order for you to even break even, you have to charge them $600.
Okay.
They need your care. You know you can help them, but they don't have the money. What are you going to do?
I'm going to go try to find a patient that can make that payment and then extend out an offer to them that is doable for their financial situation.
How so?
I would say, what can you give me? Can you barter? What do you do in your life that this could be an even energy trade?
Interesting.
Could you make me 25 loaves of bread?
You would accept 25 loaves of bread?
Okay, I'd say I'm going to pick up one a week for 25 months.
Okay, so they're gonna bake you bread.
Yeah, I would totally do that.
Okay.
I'd be fine with that. I would be happy to meet them where they're at. But I'm not just going to give away services left and right, because at that point, people will take advantage of you. So you need to be very strategic and have an eye for where is this actually needed and how can I set proper boundaries. Yeah.
Okay, so
my mother is an optometrist.
Oh.
She has a very giving heart. She's wonderful. And the issue that I've observed happen to her my entire life is that people have taken advantage of her, and people that you think wouldn't, like at a church. My mom is an Orthodox woman. It's a very ancient religion. It's kind of like Catholicism. Catholicism and Orthodoxy used to be the same, and then during the Crusades they split. That's the religion my mom follows. In that church, I have watched over the years people thinking that they can just get free appointments from her over and over again. And my mom didn't have the boundaries for herself where she would just let that happen. Now she's, I think, been able to step into more of that power and boundaries and knows how to set a line. But yeah, I've seen what happens when you do just give. And I've seen the type of people that will latch onto you. And so I think going into a healing profession, it's important to have those boundaries set up and know your worth, even if your heart is true.
I think that's true. I want to allude to an idea you said earlier. Like, if you were making a lot of money, you would have a responsibility to do some philanthropy.
That I feel a moral obligation. I don't think everyone does, but my genetic makeup is like, yep, you have to now give back.
I feel the same way. I think philanthropy isn't free.
No.
I think actually by making the most money I can, I actually can do the most amount of philanthropy.
Okay, fair argument.
And so
Fair argument, yeah.
that's why I don't have a problem charging someone $10,000 or $100,000.
Are you going to? So let's see. Okay, Harold is fresh out of medical school. How much are you charging someone? First patient. You go. Where do you want to go?
I might stay here, or I might go to Maryland, but I like Arizona, so I don't know.
You do? Okay.
I do.
Specifically Phoenix area?
Yeah, I like the weather. I like the sunshine. I like the communities. I like Arizona.
Good.
I like the highway.
Good. I'm glad you like the highway. I'm scared of it.
I can understand why you'd be scared, but I feel good on the highway here. So,
now that you have a car.
Yeah, and I like to go fast. People like to go fast here, so I'm like, great.
Yeah, going fast is great. I do like to go fast as well.
So what's the problem?
I'm just afraid still. I don't trust the other drivers around me. I might trust myself to go fast strategically, but other drivers I don't know if I trust.
It's true. I don't trust them either.
Yeah, the amount of accidents I've seen here is wild. And the amount of people I know that have been in accidents since moving here, wild.
Get a dash cam.
That's what you did.
Yeah.
And then it fucked up your Bluetooth.
We don't need to talk about that. It's fine. We'll get it fixed. But listen, the dash cam pays for it will if an accident happens, I'm covered. So
absolutely, but
it's a worthy trade.
What if there's physical harm? What if lights out, dead? Gerald goes to the heavens.
This is why I practice defensive driving. I'm very vigilant when I'm driving, and I don't understand why people use their phones while they drive. It baffles me. But if I get a phone call,
so many people do.
Everybody does. Almost everybody. Mm-hmm. I mean, anyway,
I'm guilty. I have. Doesn't mean I'm doing it every day, but I have.
Well, here's the thing. It only takes one time. Mm-hmm. So you can never do it.
Absolutely. Be vigilant.
But it all depends on what my value is at the moment and also what I'm capable of. So, for example, like, say I have a large following and I have a lot of people that want my time, then my time has to be more valuable. I have to charge more.
Yeah, fair.
There's also I was researching this the other day, and I was for a new series of like podcasts. I was looking up some of the most expensive medical procedures. Check this out.
Medical.
A heart transplant. A heart transplant is $1.3 million.
Wild.
A pancreatic transplant. So someone's pancreas fails. Almost $300,000. New kidney. Wow. $260,000. Spinal fusion, which isn't even like that crazy of a procedure. $100,000. Open chest surgery, which cardiac disease being the most pervasive illness in America. Mm-hmm. $330,000.
And if you get insurance, this is what we're paying for.
That's if the insurance will cover it.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, like, collectively, if you're a part of an insurance company, your deductible, like, everyone has a deductible. Everyone's paying a lot a month. It's because we're paying for these surgeries.
Right. But as in the case of Luigi, things happen, and sometimes...
Free Luigi.
Don't free Luigi.
I'm kidding.
Luigi's staying in jail.
Yeah, Luigi should definitely be in jail.
Yes.
We're not freeing him.
We're keeping him in
He
there.
has become an icon, but we are keeping him in prison.
More on that another time. But
Luigi.
you
He's my Italian ancestor.
really?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay. It seems like you really like Luigi.
No, I just loved the story.
Okay.
As awful as it was, someone's life did get lost, but I liked the energy that it stirred up.
You think he's a cool guy?
No. I think he has points, but I think something has definitely snapped in him.
Yeah.
Yeah. To do that and go through with it and strategize that, something has snapped. You have gone too far.
He's caught a demon.
Absolutely. 100%. He'd be ripe for it.
Okay, so I think that's another example, right? Someone's caught some sort of psychological illness where they're liable to get themselves put in prison for many years.
Yes.
How much is a person's 2 decades of someone's freedom worth to them? Probably hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Absolutely.
What if you as a naturopath were able to solve a $300,000 problem for $10,000? Would it be a lot of money anymore? I don't think so.
No. Yeah, that is a fair point and argument, and I would have to agree. That's a sliver of what could happen.
A sliver.
Yeah, you're right. Someone with I know where you're going with this. If you had like a massive cardiac issue, a heart transplant is 1.3 million. As a naturopath, we're stopping it before we get to that 1.3 million. So you take 10,000 out of that. Okay.
You really helped that person, and I wouldn't feel bad about charging them that much money.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, the average person in the economy we live in does not have $10,000.
Let me pose an experiment to you.
Okay.
Say there's a property available for $500,000, but you can buy it today, Abby, for 10 grand.
I say cha-ching.
I'm
gonna make it happen.
You're making it happen.
I know where you're going with this.
So I never think it's about the money.
Yeah.
It's about, is it worth it? If I can communicate to a person that they're going to go through, which is very likely in the case of allopathy and a lot of these like chronic or maybe cardiac ailments, cancers, you're going to go through years and years of mental, emotional suffering, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Your family's going to deteriorate and fall apart. If you could just avoid all that, you would do it.
Yeah.
That's my proposition, and how I would charge someone $10,000 by solving very expensive problems. So
Yeah.
that's my take on it.
And that's a fair take. So you get out of medical school, Dr. Harold, and you have your first patient. They come in, they're experiencing all different types of issues, digestive, hormonal, even elevated cholesterols. So what are you charging them for first patient appointment?
I think my first appointment, I think an appropriate amount would be, I'd say $500-$600 is an appropriate amount.
Okay, fair. I agree with you.
I would even charge less if I could get more patients. The reason why I would do that immediately after is in order to solve problems like this, I need experience.
Exactly.
So I would be willing to accept less because the experience is valuable.
Absolutely. We're not getting out of medical school being an amazing doctor
Right.
with years of experience.
Right.
We might have a natural gift towards healing and medicine, but it doesn't mean that we have that experience, and that's the most valuable.
Very valuable.
So I think it's arrogant to come out of medical school and start cha-chinging people $10K, you know?
I think so, unless your status
Okay.
can make that happen.
Yes, yeah. Which, give me an example of a status that could make that happen.
just say your name is popping in the streets, Abby. And
it's Harold going through puberty. Risen up the entire school.
You're risen up the whole patient community. Everyone's hitting your line. Your price goes up. It's just supply and demand.
Cha-ching.
That's the only way.
Okay, yeah, let's say you make some incredible social media presence, because social media can be a tool in that way. And people are so excited that you're now officially a doctor, and they are so pumped to start seeing you. Could you charge more than Dr. Joe, who no one knows yet?
I think I'd be okay with that, because if they've been following me, they would know that I don't have a lot of experience. So
yeah,
that disclaimer would be important. I think I would pay for the experience to whatever extent is necessary at that time.
Okay.
I think my biggest goal right now with social media is to be able to get a constant stream of experience. Because, the worst thing that could happen is to come out and not be able to see patients.
Yeah.
Or how else am I supposed to get better? I want to be able to see a lot of patients and then take time to go to China, go to India, talk to ancient healers and learn some stuff they're not going to teach you.
Yeah,
explore, make some video series,
discover
and come back with the bag.
Yes, because you have Simply Naturopathic on your side.
Correct.
And you can make it a very philosophical, educational way to get in touch with naturopathic medicine.
I believe so.
And I feel it's also a creative outlet.
Which I need.
Yeah, it's a really good way to express yourself and allow discussion to happen.
What is your creative outlet? You're certainly a creative person, so I'm sure you have one or a few.
That is a really good question. And right now I have dance and I have writing on my own time, and I walk a lot. But as far as an expressive outlet, that's what I am searching for right now.
I think writing could be a good option.
Absolutely. But I am trying to figure out how I want to use that.
Are you open to discussing it?
Sure.
Text is an interesting format right now because people's attention spans have diminished so greatly.
Yes, yeah. So it's hard because I don't think people really want to read long texts anymore.
No, but some people still do. I won't say that. I won't say they don't.
But it's not as much. I feel like it's harder for us to sustain that attention.
What kind of writing would you do? Would it be fiction? Would it be poetic? Would it be articles, journalistic?
I am open to all forms of writing. What I naturally gravitate towards is writing. I write poems all the time. I'll be studying and then I get a thought and then I have to write down a poem. So that's like an expressive creative outlet. But they're not always because I want to put them out there for other people to read. Sometimes it's just a self-care thing for myself.
Would you ever make poems for the public?
Yeah, I think so, but it depends on what type of poems they are, and what type of poetry book would I want to put out there?
Maybe, I'm just brainstorming.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe like diseases poems.
I have intertwined. I liked intertwining science and sciencey words with poetry. Yeah, it's so nice because it's like what we're learning now, but then you put it into the right brain too.
It's crazy because I've literally thought about making a mixtape, like a naturopathy mixtape. I don't know if I would ever put that. I'll probably put it out just for fun. But
Dr. Harry, would that be your like rap name?
so it's interesting about names, right?
Yeah.
I think the shorter the name, the better. If you
Dr.
can,
Hair?
If you can secure a one-word name,
Doc.
Doc is taken. Somebody's got that. There's no
Hair.
way.
Jer.
No. I probably would go Dr. Payne. I would do Dr.
Oh,
Payne.
yeah. Okay, can you discuss, your last name is Payne still?
Mm-hmm.
And you have shortened it to Payne. Will you tell the listeners?
Branding purposes.
Absolutely.
It's easier to say. It's short, quick.
It's one syllable. It's a intriguing syllable.
It's kind of like an oxymoron. Pain or healing people.
And you're going to be a doctor, Dr. Payne.
It's perfect.
Yeah. People will instantly be intrigued by that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Abby, Dr. Abby, Dr. Terpene. That's already pretty
Okay.
snazzy.
I actually have a dilemma.
Wow.
So I discovered just over 2 years ago that my last name should actually be Lusitana. That is a beautiful last name.
Lusitana.
Yes, Lusitana.
S-I-T-A.
Kusitana.
Lusitana. Is this how you say it?
No, not with the I.
Lusitana. Name.
And I've never fully related to my last name, so I understood. When I heard that was my last name, I'm like, oh, I get it.
It says it's the name of a Roman province that includes most of what is now Portugal.
That's what the I. So this family is from Sicily.
I see.
Yeah, and I believe when they were in Sicily, it was Lucitano or Lusitana.
I see. Indo-European, Iberian Peninsula, Indo-European. Okay. And you're saying you have knowledge that it's Italian in origin.
Yes, it's Sicilian. And yeah, so I have since met my family that we didn't know existed, and they are my right brain side of the family. That is where
I see.
That's where it all comes. I never knew.
It makes sense that they're Italian.
I never knew why I was the way I was. I'm like, man, when I met all my family, I'm like, I just don't, there's some disconnect somewhere. I love them all, and I see different parts of myself, but this other, like, bigger part of myself was not there. And then I found out that I have a Sicilian side of the family, and they're all very creative, and they're very right-brained, and they're big and dramatic, and everything's Sicilian. And yeah, it all made sense then. So my debate is I don't relate to my last name.
Turpin.
I never have. Now I know why. I don't want to go through a name change only for me to get married and go through another name change, you know?
I don't think you have to change your brand name. I think that you can keep that.
That's what I've thought. Yeah.
So what are you thinking for...
As long as it's not threatening to the man, you know?
I'm sure he'll be okay.
It has to be like a man who understands, who's totally fine with that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, you know.
Unless personally, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't change my last name, personally.
Yeah.
But then also, I'm on the air of Concubines, so,
This is a great segue. This is what I've really been curious about.
Wait, before we get there, okay? What kind of names can we get you a name?
Like,
Lucy?
like, what do you mean? Like, doctor name or?
Yeah, like Lucy, like
Dr. Lucy.
You don't even need the doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, Lucy, I don't know.
I'm fine if it's just Abby too, you know? I love my first name.
Okay.
No issue.
I think that's a good name.
Yeah, same with Harry. Has anyone called you Harry?
So yes, but that name is a more casual. I wouldn't use that name for business purposes.
Yeah, that like your mama's gonna say Harry.
Correct. It's like a name.
What about your dad?
Yeah.
What about your sister?
Yep.
They're like, "Hi Harry, we miss you."
Well, they would say.
And your mom's like, "Oh, I just wrote a theology book, Harry. I'm gonna send it to you."
They wouldn't say Harry. They would say Harry.
Harry.
So you can do it. You can. You need to throw like a British accent on there. It's
Okay,
true.
say it again.
Harry.
Harry.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
A lot of Americans can't like physically say Harry.
Harry.
You can do it.
Okay, cool.
No problem.
Sweet. I'm glad.
Okay. Concubines. Look.
Word on the street, Harry, is that you have a dream of concubines. Is this true?
Which street did you hear this on?
On Dr. Gerald Street.
No, you didn't.
Yes.
Which street was it on?
I don't know. I was a little out of sorts. I couldn't figure out where I was.
Oh, okay. Did a lady live on this street?
Yes.
Did this lady have long hair?
I just don't remember right now.
Okay. All right. Look. As a doctor, one of my goals is to sort of challenge the kind of over professional ness you have to have.
As a
Right.
practicing physician.
Like, why can't I wear a BB Simon belt? Who says I can't? There's no rule that says I can't do that.
Yeah, you should be able to express yourself however you want. And if that includes multiple wives or one wife and many concubines, like, express yourself.
But then also, I don't... So what do you think about this? Because you seem to take special interest in it.
It's just something you don't hear every day.
No, I think you would hear it every day if it were safe to say that. Because I'm sure plenty of people
You think so?
I know so.
Okay.
I know many people would love to live that way.
Okay, do you wish that your parents lived that way?
I don't wish, I don't not wish. It just is what it is. It wasn't so.
But envision, how do you think you would have responded in a situation where your dad impregnated many different women?
I would have a larger family. I would have grown up with more siblings,
See
more mothers.
half of your genetic lineage and many different types of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be just a larger, more variety kind of community.
And we love community.
We do. Community is very necessary.
It is.
I don't think a nuclear family is the only
way
to go about a community, a healthy community.
Okay, yeah. You see, I'm open-minded, so yeah, say what you need to about it. But I don't know if I fully agree with it, but it doesn't mean it can't be done. And it doesn't mean it can't be done pretty well.
Well, I think one of the big problems is it requires resources and it requires excellent people skills.
Yes, you're gonna have to get very specific types of people. My question is, as humans, we also have inherent, seemingly more negative emotions. And I think that a concubine situation would breed a lot of jealousy. And through jealousy, a lot of things can happen.
So, you're right, negative emotion is part of the human experience. But the type of people I'm interested in are people who are trying to supersede like the lower aspects of the human experience. Like it's not like I don't have.
But can we do? At the end of the day, we are just human. As much as I would like to reach spiritual enlightenment constantly and be very connected to God and in a higher self state, that's just not, I am still a human, and that's not going to happen all the time.
No.
Yeah, and I'm going to experience jealousy because of XYZ, and I'm going to experience a feeling of competitiveness because of XYZ. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
As long as it's one thing to have a negative emotion, but I think it's do you know how to reconcile in a mature manner? Like, for example, like any friends, wives, couples, sisters, brothers are always going to have disputes.
Yeah.
But do you know what to do about disputes?
Yeah.
It's really that simple to me, which is why I think the people skills is so important.
Yeah.
Like, do you know how to manage disputes amongst people?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. See, I'm like, that's a skill that I have, but also I don't know if that could continuously live up in a situation like that. Like, if I loved a man and he was going over to Sally's house tonight with a specific intention, and Sally was making him dinner, but I love this man, could I continuously just detach from the other side of feelings that could accompany that, which is jealousy? Why is my man trying to impregnate Sally tonight?
Well, here's the thing.
Does he love Sally more than me? Does Sally fulfill him more? Will he not come home tomorrow night, or is he going to stay with Sally for a week?
It's all about the individuals. Like, I wouldn't ask that of anyone who doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And I am sure there are women that are like, absolutely.
I
but
know.
when you put yourself in that and you live that experience, shit goes down.
That's just ladies, okay?
Only ladies?
I mean, let's not act like ladies do not produce more drama.
It's true.
On average.
It's true. Absolutely. I'm not going to deny that.
It's just part of the game.
I've never really had issue with guy friends. I've only had issues with female friends. Guy friends, chill as hell.
Usually.
Yeah, sure, little things go down, and I've had drama with different types of men, but for the most part, yeah.
Think of the benefit. I'm thinking the pros outweigh the cons. The pros of this are, right,
various genetic lineage.
A variety of perspectives, skill sets that can work cohesively, and a self-contained community. Because one thing that's very difficult when it comes to raising children is making sure they have an environment that isn't polluted.
Yes.
You send a kid to school, their brain is gonna get fucked. Okay, It's just what's gonna happen. Some kid's gonna show them porn. Hey, look at this. You ever seen this?
Did
right?
you have a moment like that?
Everyone's had a moment like that.
Okay,
There's
fair,
no one who
fair.
hasn't had a moment like
Yeah,
that.
no, I know. And I feel like especially like young men.
Yes.
It happens with females too, but yeah, young men way more.
Well, I think females have a different set of problems
Yeah, absolutely.
that are equal in magnitude.
Yes.
But those are the pros I'm looking at. Now, yeah, it's the situation.
So is that something you envision for yourself?
Maybe I do. And I don't see the problem.
No. Have you discussed this with your family? Like your mom, your dad, your sister? What are their thoughts?
So, obviously my mom doesn't like it. Obviously my sister doesn't like it. My dad's just like, whatever, man. Yeah.
It's like, that's my son.
Basically, like, do what you want to do, bro.
All right.
But
So how did you tell your family? Dinner table.
you know
Drinking
how
some
your mom is.
Jamaican hibiscus tea
Yes, we're
with
drinking.
clove and orange.
We're drinking sorrel tea. We're eating, jerk chicken,
And it's good.
and it's real good.
Yeah.
But you know how your mom will ask you, so you have a girlfriend. When are you gonna get married? Those kind of questions.
Yeah,
And
'cause they want that for you so bad.
do they not ask you those questions?
Absolutely.
These are just the questions they ask.
Yeah, it's the normal.
So when they ask me, I just tell them the situation. I'm like,
Yeah.
marriage, I'm not really a fan.
Yeah.
What's wrong with I don't need to follow those rules. And
So why aren't you a fan of marriage?
I'm not a fan of the legal contract of marriage.
I've heard a lot of young men say this.
Well, it's not a good deal.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not a good deal.
Yeah.
You don't sign bad contracts.
Yeah.
So I'm not against the idea of marriage
Yes.
as a social interaction. I'm against the contract, the legal contract, and its stipulations.
Yeah. So is the solution multiple women?
That's not a solution necessarily. It's just one way to go about things. And I mean, look, everything's not going to work out. I mean, sometimes things don't work out.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I would
Carry
never
on.
abandon my children. That's
Yes.
the common
There you
factor.
go. Okay. See,
So-
very important. I think that above anything else, that is the absolute most important.
I believe so.
Yeah.
As long as I have a positive relationship with them, I mean, that's really all that matters. And as long as their mitochondria provider is also someone who would care for them.
And you say mitochondria provider, so mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you view the mother as like the mitochondria?
Well, they
Does that make sense?
literally are providing their
Mitochondria.
mitochondria. So
I will continue to challenge this idea, but I will keep hearing it, and you can challenge me to be even more open.
I'm open to being wrong.
Yeah. I just see, as humans, we can't escape the more sinful sides of us fully and the negative emotions. And I just see that as a breeding ground type of situation for a lot of intense emotions that can ultimately negatively impact children. To be fair, I know in old cultures that could be a normal. I watched some documentary. It was a tribe in Africa that lived traditionally, and it was one man who went to different women every night around the tribe. And each night the woman cooked a full meal for the man, not knowing if he would choose them for the evening. And that was just their normal way of life, and they didn't question it.
I would feel bad if somebody cooked a meal and I didn't eat it. I would feel bad about that.
Yeah. So that's what I have in my mind, and that was normal to them. Me being a Western woman, even more than like in normal cultures for thousands of years, other than in smaller tribal areas, that wasn't a normal way of being. Like marriage had been a common thing, but I look at that and I'm like, damn, that would suck. But I don't live their current reality, so maybe not knowing what I know in my reality, maybe it would be like, oh, this is just how it is, and that's awesome.
That's possible. I think it's best if it's a cohesive unit, and also if you have multiple ladies. I'm not a guy who's interested in flippant interactions. They also all have to like each other, right? Because you don't want to be forced to live with someone you don't like.
Yeah.
I think that's where, negative emotion is probably more likely.
Yes.
If you already just don't like someone.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this, right?
Okay.
On the side of a guy having multiple ladies, I mean, most guys, they can, I'll at least say a lot more guys can do that. Or have thought about that than women. Is that a true statement?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
How often does a woman think, I want multiple husbands? And do you think that's feasible?
Okay, this is what I've thought before. I wonder what my offspring would look like with different men. That is something I have thought of. And I've thought, man, I hope the man that I do marry, I would think I would be so attracted to him, and part of that would be pheromones telling me our genes are going to create good offspring. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm sure there'd be all different types of human beings that could be created from different genes. So yeah, I'd be curious to see the expression of my genetic lineage paired with different genetic lineages.
But what about the family unit?
But I might be open-minded, but I'm a traditionalist with family. And I love the idea of family and creating my own family.
Did you say you're a trad wife?
What?
That's what trad means, traditional.
I think I am pretty traditional at heart. And I think I've always known that. But it's something I've known that I wanted to be a mother. I knew I wanted to be a wife, that I wanted to have a husband, and that's something I haven't had to question too much.
Do you think the average woman wants that? And do you think it's good, healthy for them?
I think the average woman does want their one and only.
Mm-hmm. So why?
The average. Obviously, there are always outliers. And if you're a woman who wants different things, that's fine. And explore that.
But generally speaking?
Generally speaking, I think what will provide the most fulfillment is doing your due diligence to find the right man for you, mm-hmm. that you can be with, that you can have as your mate for your whole life. And it doesn't mean you're going to have perfect times all the time. There will be bad times, but I think there's more benefit to that than negative by switching around partners.
Ladies, let me know in the comments section what you think about this. Mm-hmm. Do you think I'm a greedy animal? Do you think this is rational? Do you think that a lady should have a nuclear family, or do you think a lady does need no man? Let us know what you think. Yes. What do you think about this whole women's empowerment sort of thing that's been going on? The lady, doesn't need a man. You'll need a man for nothing.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I know. Okay, I have a couple thoughts. It does pain me that we are in a world where I feel there is a negative connotation to men in the society we live in right now.
And why is that?
Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
It's interesting because I just thought about this recently. So I don't know what I think about this. I gotta think about that.
Think away. But I think that is the negative side to the female empowerment movement. Mm-hmm. And the female empowerment movement, I think, is a product of our Western culture and kind of what we did and what we created to survive. And once females got into the workspace, they're like, wow, I can make my own money. I can also provide my own way, which women were still doing that back then. There were women that were pursuing things on their own and it's probably just who they were. They just had a drive and they had a mission and a passion, and they did it. But then I think with the female empowerment movement, it's opened it up to all different types of women that maybe don't even have an inherent like drive and passion and goal and direction. They can still go out into the world and work and make money. And yeah, they don't need a man financially, materialistically. But I think a part of the downside of the movement is a negativity towards men, where it's like, fuck men, like men are pigs, I don't need him, fuck him, oh, he's just a dude, like he's just acting like a guy. And I think that it's created an unnecessary like negative energy to men, and I think men still need to be uplifted. Like women are being so uplifted right now, and I think men should still be uplifted.
I don't know if women are being uplifted right now. I think it may be like it's being sold as uplifting.
Ah, yes.
But I don't think it actually, like, I mean, let's just look at the Billboard Hot 100 right now. What are the ladies listening to? Okay.
Well, this is also men included.
Yeah, this is true. Okay. Who is this?
I don't know who these people are.
Can you just give me the charts?
Oh, charts. Oh, yeah, Bill. Yeah.
Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Die With a Smile. Okay.
Rawr.
Birds of a Feather. Okay, we have Billie Eilish. Not too bad of an influence.
Yeah, she acts like a baddie. She don't need no man.
She dresses like a man.
And she likes women. So.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's interesting. Let's talk about Billie Eilish then. I hope I don't get copywritten for this. Here's one song she put out. What's the song called? Oh, Bad Guy.
I'm the bad guy.
I'm the bad guy, and this is what every like young girl is singing. Like just all day long. This was a huge song, especially amongst like prepubescent teenage girls. Look at the lyrics of this. Okay,
can you sing it? Like in some sort of tune?
I'm not gonna do that, but I'm gonna read it. Okay, it says, white shirt now red, my bloody nose. Sleeping, you're on your tippy toes. Creeping around like no one knows. Think you're so criminal. Bruises on both my knees for you. Don't say that you... Ooh. Don't say thank you or please. I do what I want when I'm wanting to. My soul so cynical. That's not a positive statement.
No. Okay, another question. How do you think songs like this are influencing culture and young culture where the minds are permeable?
We know music influences the subconscious mind.
Yes.
And we know music is one of the most, it's like one of the most powerful tools for like influencing people.
Yes.
So, I mean, we see it happen. You freaking Billie Eilish does something, or Kylie Jenner, like, oh, come get my new lipstick, right? All the girls are going to buy her lipstick. All the girls want to dress like her. That's why marketers pay her so much money to advertise, because they know her followers will just copy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Influencer life.
She's more than an influencer. She's like a deity almost.
Yeah. Well, when you reach that level of fame, you do become a deity to the culture at large. In reality, you're still just a human. You're no better than someone else, but you have reached a level of deity, like a mythical creature at that point.
Yes. With supreme influence. I think.
Yeah, and then it's like, are you going to use it wisely?
Most of them don't. I think.
That's an interesting phenomenon where most of them don't. Why?
I think people who have that amount of influence, who are positive, are a threat. So they're usually undermined or taken out completely. Like, I mean, think of every like civil rights leader; they're all murdered, or like any
MLK.
type murdered.
By
any type of like positive political leader usually gets murdered.
Yep.
Musicians.
JFK.
RFK. Great example. One of the most positive musicians to ever like be a huge music star, but a unequivocally positive message. Bob Marley. He just gets cancer and dies all of a sudden.
Yeah. Do you have theories on that?
We know what happened. He's a Jamaican man living off of herbs and a very healthy lifestyle. How does he get cancer? He doesn't even live amongst all these toxicants.
Yeah.
How is he getting cancer?
Yeah.
Doesn't check out.
Yeah.
That's why I think a lot of these guys are plants.
But at the same time, when you die under this large amount of fame and like knowingness, I think that you plant a seed in the culture that could be even deeper than just living out your whole life. There's something about death that makes it more powerful.
Yeah, like a Christ figure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think so.
Like Jesus, if he didn't die, he wouldn't be the figure that he is today.
I don't think so. Yeah, maybe not.
If he hadn't died and been resurrected from the dead.
Maybe not.
Do you think Jesus was the Son of God?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I do think the story is still valuable, regardless of whether it actually happened. We do know Jesus is real, that Jesus did exist.
My dad used to say the Bible is a good book.
Well, it's multiple books. It's a set of multiple good books.
Yeah.
To answer your question, the reason I think this is happening, I think it's purposeful and intentional because these labels are putting millions of dollars behind these people.
Yeah, and she might have written these own lyrics, but maybe she is the one who's being backed more because these people with millions of dollars are like, yeah,
I think so.
This is who we need to uplift in the culture.
I think both happens. I think sometimes they plant people themselves. I think sometimes look at her freaking album. What is this?
Yeah.
What?
It's a demonic vibe.
It's literally a demonic. Let's continue the song.
Bruises on both my knees for you. What do you think that means?
I think we know what that means, Abby.
Oh, what?
Everyone knows what that means.
I don't know what that means.
She's talking about fellatio.
What?
I'm sorry. Listen, children. This is a song marketed towards children with messages like this in it.
Yeah.
I didn't write the song.
It's wild.
Let's go further. So you're a tough guy, like it really rough guy, just can't get enough guy, chest always so puff guy, I'm that bad type, make your mama sad type, make your girlfriend mad tight, might seduce your dad type. I mean, you got girls in middle school singing this.
Elementary
school.
It's on the radio, they're singing it. They're absorbing it.
They're absorbing it into their subconscious. You haven't even heard the worst. Do you know about Sexy Red?
No.
Oh dear.
It sounds familiar. Does he wear red?
She.
This
is Sexy Red. Another.
Do you find her sexy? Would she make it onto the compound to be a concubine?
I'm not afraid. I'm not a fan of her message or her style. Personal. I don't think we are philosophically aligned.
Okay. So the ones that will make it onto the concubine, you are philosophically aligned.
Yes.
Okay.
What
if they got like mad drip, mad ice, but they aren't necessarily the same philosophical vibe? Or are they making it on?
Well, those are all superficial things. Rich Baby Daddy. Okay. This was the biggest song she's been. You know Rich Baby Daddy.
I have heard it.
Okay.
Yeah. And it always bothered me. I had an old friend that would sing it and was obsessed with it, and it made me feel strange hearing it.
It should. Have you ever seen children singing it?
Not yet.
Okay, it's disturbing. So, for those of you who haven't heard Rich Baby Daddy, okay, it's a song with El Drake, Champagne Poppy, Drake, and Sexy Red.
Can you read it?
Okay.
Could you sing this one?
I'm going to read it. I'm not going to sing it.
Okay.
Bend that ass over, okay? Let that coochie breathe. This is repeated multiple times. Shake that ass, bitch. Hands on your knees. Hands on your knees. Ho. That's an ad lib. Someone's in the back going ho. Hands on your knees.
Ow.
Shake that ass for Drake.
Yup.
First of all, no one's shaking. Why for Drake? What's going on here? Why does Drake have children singing that they're going to shake their ass for him? Isn't that strange?
Drake is daddy.
What?
I'm just being silly now.
Oh, okay. I know you're being silly. You get my point.
I do.
And
I think the listeners get your point too.
Okay.
But the listeners do want to hear you sing at some point.
Well, you know.
Do you sing like on your own?
I do.
Yeah, like you got Leo Sun, Leo Moon. You have to sing.
Yes, it's true.
You need that expression.
I do.
What type of songs do you sing in your free time?
Any type of song, like
Bend That Ass Over. Let That Coochie Breathe.
It's a good song. I'm not even gonna lie. It's a banger of a song, which is why it's
the beats and how wild the lyrics are.
I'm not.
What if that song came out in 1950?
It wouldn't be. It would be. She would be probably persecuted and executed.
So what has happened to allow that to be the normal? And do you think, is it good for society?
What do you think?
You know what I think.
I don't think it's good for society. No. It's just
do you
not.
think as a society we need to, while we can allow people to do their thing and express themselves, and if they're a wild type, okay, do your thing. But at the same time, as a society, I think we need to uphold certain morals and values and ethics, or else society can fall a bit.
A lot.
Fall straight to the ground.
I think we're already falling pretty far.
Absolutely. I agree.
I am at a dilemma with this because, especially like in terms of naturopathy, I think it's important for someone to have a free flow of expression, because if you suppress parts of yourself, even that can cause, this is not medical advice, disease states. So we don't want someone because this has happened for women for a long time, where, you know, women, you know, they say don't be like angry or whatever. It's not ladylike. You're holding in all that anger, building up cortisol, hurting yourself.
Yes.
We don't want that. Right?
And then you are still human. You will probably explode at some point.
And then you'll explode and do something dumb.
Yeah, and scream at your husband.
Right. And, you know, that's not cool, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think expression is good, but I think there's a line to draw. I don't know what I think about it, because even like hip opening movements like twerking are like physical manipulations that can be beneficial.
Absolutely. Should we be doing that to the public at large?
I don't think so. I think the context is important. I think you should be maybe in a certain environment so you can be mindful of other people around, maybe wearing clothes.
So you don't want to let that coochie breathe?
Not at Walmart.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair.
Not on TV.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah.
Is it crazy to say some things are good for you maybe, but do it at home?
Yeah.
I think this is one of those things.
Absolutely.
I love jazz so much. Great resolution on that one.
That was perfect timing.
2 hours and 30 minutes. It's been a great podcast with Abby Turpine and the main Harold Payne. This has been Simply Naturopathic. Let us know what you think of the conversation. I mean, do you think we're a bunch of tinfoil hat wearers? Have you ever used astrology in a significant way? Tarot. What do you think about your soul? Would you have concubines? Is sexy red a spawn of Satan coming to destroy the minds of the children? Let us know in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. And Abby, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Instagram. ABBEY Turpin, TURPIN.
Okay. Anything cool and exciting coming up? What can people see on your Instagram over there?
That is what I'm figuring out. How do I want to use it as a tool for my future career and authentic life?
Okay.
So figure out if you want to follow the journey or not.
I think you'll like it. More in store from Abby. And of course, new episodes of Simply Naturopathic every week. We'll have something cool for you.
Are you going to make a Instagram account for your podcast?
I'm thinking of whether I should just integrate it on my regular Instagram or make a separate one. I think I might end up just having it on my regular Instagram. I don't know.
To be continued.
But if you want to follow your boy, Harold Payne, you can find me at Harold_the_creator on Instagram. Until next time, this is Simply Naturopathic.